Chief Minister M.K. Stalin has held a meeting through video conferencing. Remember, he's down with COVID-19, and this meeting that he's held is regarding the Kallakurichi issue. Remember, violence broke out in the state on Sunday. The ministers and secretaries have been briefed by the Chief Minister and the people who instigated the violence, and he's ordered for steps to be taken against all those who are instigating the violence, and steps are also to be taken to curb the violence. For more details, let's also go across to Mugilan Chandrakumar, who is joining me live from Chennai. Mugilan, if you could take me through what is the current security situation before we move on to the suicide of that girl and how crucial the second autopsy is going to be. But first of all, give us a sense of what is the security situation like on ground zero.
Definitely, yes, we have seen the kind of violence that unfolded in Kallakurichi 2 days before, and following that, we also saw the Madras High Court stepping into this issue and directing the Tamil Nadu state government to identify the people who have instigated this protest. And they have also, the Madras High Court have also observed that this is an they also said that everyone who is responsible for this should be booked, and it's an organized thing. And following that, now we are seeing the Chief Minister holding a meeting through video conferencing, and in that meeting, senior ministers like Velu, Anbil Magesh, and Home Secretary Panindra Reddy, DGP Sailendra Babu, and ADGP for Intelligence Davidson Devasirvadam, and other secretaries, the School Education Department Secretary Kakala Usha, were present in the meeting, because we have seen in last 2-3 days, we have seen the Tamil Nadu state government and particularly Tamil Nadu police have made more than 300 arrests who involved in the violence that broke out in Kallakurichi district. So today in the meeting, the senior ministers Anbil Magesh and Velu and Home Secretary Panindra Reddy briefed the Chief Minister about the existing security situation and the current situation in Kallakurichi district, and the DGP briefed the Chief Minister about the steps taken by the Tamil Nadu police to identify the people who instigated and who involved in the protest. And as I said earlier, more than 300 youngsters, including 20 minors, have been arrested so far, and they have been put under at least
Mugilan, stay with us because we are also joined in by other correspondents. Ritu is joining us live from the Kallakurichi Government Hospital. I'm also joined in by Ananya Bhatnagar, who is reporting live on this news story from the Supreme Court. For now, let me also take a question from Ritu. Ritu, how crucial is going to be the second autopsy now as far as this case is concerned? Because remember, the second autopsy is now being conducted after the orders of the Madras High Court.
Well, exactly after the Madras High Court, in fact, had met their own demand of the family who had asked them for the second autopsy, is something the Madras High Court agreed for and had given that out to them, saying that the family members can be present and also the lawyer can be present, and the whole procedure will be videographed. So that is initially was the demand of the family, which the High Court agreed. Now, but there is a twist in the story, is that the parents have yet not reached the hospital where the second autopsy was supposed to take place. It's been a long time. In fact, the team of the doctors have already arrived. The team, in fact, the CBCID team is also here on the ground. They're all been waiting for the parents to come, but there's no presence of the parents on the ground, and the waiting is in fact from a long time. Not sure when exactly the parents will turn out on ground is something that everyone have been waiting. In fact, all of them are trying to contact as well. Now, what the police says as on the ground is, and what our sources also tell us, is that the family, in fact, has left from their place and is in fact on the way to the hospital. They left home in the morning itself, but it's been quite a long time. The family has not reached the hospital still, but police is also saying that they are also trying to contact the family members, but their phones are not reachable. They are trying to coordinate and help the family out, but family, the police is not able to reach out to the family members, is something that the sources and the police are saying on ground.
Right, Ritu, stay with us as I take my next question from Ananya. Ananya, we all are aware that the Madras High Court has come down heavily on this entire controversy, rather this act of suicide that's happened. Allegedly, it's suicide, but of course the family is refuting that. Let me refer to what the Madras High Court has had to say. They are saying that such acts in future should be probed by the CBCID. How crucial is that aspect in terms of legalities now?
Well, yes, definitely. It is very, very persistent to note what the Madras High Court had said while it was dealing with the Kallakurichi suicide matter, the death of the student matter, in fact, because the parents have been claiming that it is not a suicide, and in fact, we have also recovered the suicide note. The CNN News 18 has accessed it exclusively. But what is very, very important is what happened in the Supreme Court today. The Supreme Court today, urgent mentioning was made by the lawyers of the girls' parents who had knocked the doors of the top court seeking inclusion of doctors of their choice in the autopsy team who would be conducting a re-post-mortem, in fact, into this whole matter. But the Supreme Court declined the interim relief and would now be hearing the matter tomorrow. The Supreme Court was of the view, and it basically questioned the counsels of the girls' parents that you do not trust the High Court with regards to its team of doctors. So the Supreme Court was basically of the view that the High Court has already appointed a team of doctors who would be conducting a re-post-mortem, and High Court has taken a serious view of this whole position, and but still the Supreme Court would be hearing the matter tomorrow over the other aspects of this case, which can be that the Supreme Court can constitute a special investigation team, but that is a matter of time. We'll have to wait and watch as to how the Supreme Court reacts to this. But then the matter is gaining light not only in the state of Madras but also in the Supreme Court. We'll have to wait and watch as to who will be hearing this matter tomorrow, which bench of the Supreme Court would be hearing this matter, and how the autopsy concludes and whether or not something or the other is found in the re-autopsy, because the parents of the girl are clearly claiming that there were a lot of marks on the girl's body which have not been included in the first autopsy, and this is the matter, this is the major reason why they had approached the Madras High Court, who had refused their prayer for inclusion of a doctor of their choice, and now the matter would be heard by the Supreme Court tomorrow itself. So we'll have to wait and watch as to how things pan out into this whole case.
Right. Thank you, Ananya, Ritu, for bringing in all those details, and let's try and get in a sense of perspective in terms of what this controversy has been all about. And for that, I'm joined in by our guests, Mr. Sumant C. Raman, who is a political analyst, and Mr. Rajshekharan, who is a senior lawyer and founder, voice of Tamil Nadu. Mr. Rajshekharan, if I could take my first question from you, how do you view now the need for a central agency stepping in terms of this investigation, because there's clearly been a lapse as far as the administration is concerned, as the parents have been alleging they were not kept in the loop clearly, and that is why the need for a second autopsy has also risen. I'd like to take in your thoughts on that.
The Honorable Madras High Court had passed an order yesterday that the second autopsy has to be conducted. Based on that order, the petitioner, the parents of the deceased girls, Srimati, had approached the Honorable Supreme Court, and the Honorable Supreme Court has upheld the order of the Madras High Court and said, let the autopsy go on. They'll hear the matter tomorrow. That's what we understand from what is happening in this matter with regard to the courts. But again, if there is any issue in the investigation, already the government of Tamil Nadu has transferred this case to CBCID, and the CBCID has started the investigation. That's what I'm told. And there is a new committee, new team formed by the government of Tamil Nadu.
Having said that, Mr. Rajshekharan, which is why I'm going to refer to the Madras High Court, they said that in future, if such cases take place, they should be handled by the CBCID. How significant is that statement? Because clearly there's been this erosion in terms of trust when it comes to the state or rather district authorities.
Yes, I totally agree with the Honorable Madras High Court's order and observations, because the local police may not be competent, or they are not so effective in immediately acting to incidents like this, sensitive incidents. So the Honorable High Court has made a strong, stringent comments with regard to these kind of investigations in issues like this. and wisely the government of Tamil Nadu immediately transferred the case to CBCID, and I don't want to jump the gun because we have to wait and watch how the investigation goes on. The matter is sub judice before the Honorable Supreme Court and also with the Madras High Court. There will be a status report filed before the Madras High Court with regard to the investigation and the autopsy. And before making any kind of unsolicited comments, I refrain from making such comments against the police force because it will demoralize them. And
no, it is not about demoralizing them. Having said that, Mr. Sumansi Raman, do you not agree that there has been a serious lack as far as the security on ground level is concerned? Why were the parents not kept in the loop? The mother has a whole set of allegations. The fact that the body was placed in a mortuary, considering she had her parents and even the school authorities were aware of her family's whereabouts, why was the body placed in the mortuary? A. B. Do you not think that the kind of violence that is being witnessed in Tamil Nadu today is also a result of the lack of adequate action taken by the administrative forces, including the police in Tamil Nadu?
Yeah, I think that there has been failure at multiple levels.
Right.
First is, as far as the school management is concerned, clearly they should have taken the family into complete confidence, and they should have tried to be as upfront as possible about things. But the point is, as far as the administration is concerned, for 3 days there were protests going on in front of the school asking for justice. Now today the suicide note details are accessed, and there she clearly blames a couple of teachers, and the teachers have been taken into custody yesterday. Had this happened, or had this police action been taken 4 days ago, maybe the entire unfortunate incidents of Sunday could have been averted. So clearly it is an intelligence failure as far as the security being provided on that particular day of the violence was concerned. But more importantly, it's the laxity that the police have shown during the investigation of this incident that really has probably led to this violence. Had they acted earlier, especially when 2 or 3 days of protest, they had the suicide note. The suicide note was available with the police soon after the incident. So what were they doing about it? Now they have arrested. They have arrested the the chairman, his the secretary, and the principal, and 2 teachers. But all of this happened after the violence, not before.
Absolutely.
That is the unfortunate thing.
That's one thing I'd like to ask Mr. Rajshekharan also. Don't you think that these arrests, which are some very crucial arrests, especially of those 2 teachers who have been mentioned, that is the mathematics and the chemistry teacher who've also surfaced in that suicide note as well, do you not think that these arrests, Mr. Rajshekharan, should have happened much earlier, and that these actions which are now being taken after violence broke out are too little too late?
See, I don't know what transpired between the local police and the police higher-ups and the government. And what Sumant Raman said is right. I agree with him on that. I concede with all his comments because they could have averted this Sunday incident. But see, as far as the arrest is concerned, any arrest, it is the prerogative of the local police authorities, and upon the investigation or the inquiry they are conducting, they have to take a call. We cannot sit here and say that they should have done this, they should have done this and that and all. It'll be very unfair on anybody's part to comment on in such a manner.
No, but as a lawyer, I'd like to understand what are the legalities that go into police action once there are names mentioned in a suicide note of the deceased. What are the legalities that follow then? Perhaps you can enlighten me better as a lawyer.
Yes, definitely. What you are saying is absolutely right. And going by the suicide note, the police should have immediately swung into action and taken all kinds of actions with regard to the arrest. But I don't know where it went wrong or why it was delayed. All this has to be understood if somebody reveals it from inside, because we don't know what had happened between the local police and the higher ups and the government. It is a very confidential matter, the intelligence matter, and we don't know what all messages they had exchanged between them. And
we certainly don't know how confidential
delayed.
This matter is, considering everything's out in the open now.
Now it's out. But initially, on the preliminary stage, you cannot just say that they
All
should
right,
have done it. We don't know what
I'm
had
going to
happened.
have to leave it at that. Thank you, Mr. Rajshekharan and Mr. Sumansi Raman, for joining in this discussion. And with that, let's now shift our attention over to other news stories. After the disturbing story of female students being told to remove their innerwear before entering the NEET exam hall emerged in Kerala, today the RSP MP N.K. Premchandra